Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into my latest vlog update. So for this one, we're going to return to Star Wars. I thought it was time to do a little Star Wars video. Of course, that was the focus of the channel a few months ago for like the Rise of Skywalker, the build-up to the Rise of Skywalker. And then after the Rise of Skywalker was released, very unhappy with it and very unhappy with the sequel trilogy generally. I sort of moved the focus of the channel away from Star Wars and to like some personal vlogs. But I have always said that I may go back one day and, you know, do some more Star Wars videos. So I thought for this one, why not, you know, why not do a little Star Wars video? And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give my thoughts on the news that broke a few days ago about George Lucas discussing his story for the sequel trilogy. So we know, of course, what happened, that George sold Star Wars, rights to Star Wars and Lucasfilm Limited to Disney in 2012. He gave them extensive story drafts, and they threw those story drafts in the bin, they threw them in the trash, and they pushed George out of it all, basically, because he couldn't stick around after what they did with his story. And they did their own thing, and they did their own sequel trilogy, and so I'm going to go through it. But I've always wondered, you know, I've always wondered what George Lucas's ending to Star Wars would have been. What would it entail, the 7, 8, and 9? What would the story have been? Never been entirely sure, but George has outlined in quite extensive detail what the story was going to be, and so I'm going to discuss that right now. Just say if you're enjoying the vlogs on the Gavin Party channel, then please can you click like on the videos and let us know in the comments what you think. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping to get the subscribers to 1,000 at some point in the future, and when we get there, maybe we'll be able to get YouTube to remonetize the channel, as you have to have 1,000 subs minimum to be able to have the videos monetized. Okay, so let's get on with this then. So we are at flickeringmyth.com. And of course, I'm going to leave the link to the website in the description. George Lucas discusses his original Star Wars sequel trilogy, including Darth Maul and Darth Talon. Here we go. Yes, you heard that right, Darth Maul. Here we go then. When George Lucas first handed over the keys to Lucasfilm to the Walt Disney Company, he did so with detailed plans, already fleshed out for episodes 7, 8, and 9 of the Star Wars saga. However, Lucas's vision for Star Wars didn't fit with the direction that Disney wanted to take the franchise, and his ideas were ultimately thrown out by the studio in favour of what was eventually to become The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. Given the overall reception to Disney's sequels and the growing appreciation of Lucas's prequel trilogy, yes, you heard that right, the growing appreciation for Lucas's prequel trilogy, there's naturally been much interest in the Star Wars creators' original plans to wrap up the saga. And now, thanks to the new coffee table book, The Star Wars Archives, 1999 to 2005, we have some insight direct from George himself, including the reveal that Darth Maul would have been the main antagonist, along with another Sith Lord direct from the comic books. No Emperor Palpatine, you'll notice. Palpy is dead and gone at the end of Return of the Jedi. He's not brought back. Right, so it continues. This is George. This is what George is saying. I had planned the first trilogy to be about the father, the second trilogy to be about the son, and the third trilogy to be about the daughter and the grandchildren. Episodes 7, 8, and 9 will take ideas from what happened after the Iraq War, said Lucas via IO9. Okay, you fought the war, you killed everybody, now what are you going to do? Rebuilding afterwards is harder than starting a rebellion or fighting the war. When you win the war you disband the opposing army, what do? The stormtroopers would be like Saddam Hussein's Ba'athist fighters that joined ISIS and kept on fighting. The stormtroopers refuse to give up when the Republic win. They want to be stormtroopers forever. So they go to the far corner of the galaxy, start their own country and their own rebellion. there's a power vacuum, so gangsters like the Hutts are taking advantage of the situation, and there is chaos. Lucas continued, the key person is Darth Maul, who had been resurrected in the Clone Wars cartoons. He brings all the gangs together. Maul is very old, and we have two versions of him. One with a set of cybernetic legs like a spider, and then later on he has metal legs and was a little bit bigger. More of a superhero. We did this in the animated series. He was in a bunch of episodes. Very famously, Darth Maul is brought back in the Clone Wars. Lucas went on to explain that Darth Maul would not have been the only villain, as Lucas would have drawn from the expanded universe, and in particular the Star Wars Legacy comic book series by incorporating the Twi'lek Sith Lord Darth Talon. Darth Maul trained a girl, Darth Talon, who was in the comic books as his apprentice. Lucas explained. She was the new Darth Vader, and most of the action was with her. So these are the two main villains of the trilogy. Maul eventually becomes the godfather of crime in the universe because as the Empire falls, he takes over. The movies are about how Leia, who else is going to be the leader, trying to rebuild the Republic. They still have the apparatus of the Republic, but they have to get it under control from gangsters. That was the main story. As for how things would ultimately have turned out, Lucas added, by the end of the trilogy, Luke would have rebuilt the Jedi. Yes, that's right. Luke would have rebuilt the Jedi by the end of the trilogy, and we would have the renewal of the New Republic. The Republic rises again, with Leia, Senator Organa, becoming the Supreme Chancellor in charge of everything. So she ended up being the chosen one. So that was Lucas's story, and I'm going to say that sounds absolutely amazing. You know, we've got Luke, yes, fulfilling the destiny to rebuild the Jedi, not this depressed hermit who wants to destroy everything, wants everything to die. Luke actually builds the Jedi and brings them back. Leia becomes a Supreme Chancellor, and she goes from war leader to Supreme Chancellor in the rebuilt and renewed Republic. We've got Darth Maul, and we've got Darth Talon as our main antagonists, our main villains. All very, very well thought out and planned, and George has clearly put a lot of thought and effort and detail into this story, and that sounds absolutely fantastic. I cannot believe that Disney threw all of that in the trash, for what they eventually came up with, which was a story that made absolutely no sense whatsoever, that veered off in all directions and had no overall arc or story plan. Villains that just came and went, and there was no setup for them, there's no backstory for them. Heroes that came and went, and there was no backstory for them either. It just makes absolutely no sense. So a few months ago, Daisy Ridley revealed that her backstory changed in all three films. So in The Force Awakens, Rey, Daisy Ridley's character, was related to Obi-Wan Kenobi. She was a Kenobi. That's her backstory for The Force Awakens. In The Last Jedi, her backstory changed to become a nobody. So she genuinely is a nobody with no backstory whatsoever. Her parents sold her for drinking money, and she was a nobody, as she's told to her face by Kylo Ren. Then her backstory changes again as we get into The Rise of Skywalker, and this time she's a Palpatine. Although even throughout, the making of The Rise of Skywalker, J.J. Abrams was apparently playing around with the idea of should she be a Palpatine, shouldn't she be a Palpatine. It was never truly, truly worked out, even as they was making the film. It was always on a knife edge of whether they would actually go with that or not. And that's the main sort of character, that's the main hero of the trilogy. And they had absolutely no idea from movie to movie about what her backstory was, who she was, where she's going, what she was trying to achieve, and anything. They had no idea from one film to another. Here we have George planning everything out. It's all planned. It's detailed. You've clearly got a beginning, a middle, and end to the story. The end point is the renewal of the New Republic. It is the return of the Jedi. Luke bringing back the Jedi, bringing the Jedi back to their prime. It would have been absolutely amazing, and yet Disney threw it all away, and for what? Why did they do it? Why did they throw away George Lucas's story? It would be a decision that I'm never able to understand, and I just don't understand why they did it, other than they wanted to push George out of the door, and that's the reason that they did. But I don't understand it. It caused so much bad feeling with the fandom, and the films we got in the end were a complete garbage anyway. It was a complete waste of everybody's time, like the most expensive waste of time that you've ever seen, in terms of a story point of view anyway. Obviously, in terms of financial, the movies did very, very well, particularly the Force Awakens. Although I dare say that 7, 8, and 9 from George Lucas' story would have done equally as well. People wanted to see Han, Luke, and Leia come back in an adventure, and of course we didn't even get that in the Force Awakens. They was never brought back as a free sub to have an adventure. So what a waste! What an absolute waste of a trilogy. And when you think what we could have had from George, it will always be a mystery to me about how this happened. It'll always be a complete mystery, and I don't understand it. And that's it though. So that would have been George Lucas' story. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that sounds better than what Disney served up? I think that sounds infinitely better. Infinitely better. There's no comparison. I think that sounds infinitely better to the absolute bilge that Disney and Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, and all of these people who after they pushed George out of the door, jumped on the bandwagon and run his saga into the ground. I think it sounds infinitely better than the bilge that Disney and Lucasfilm served up. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? And maybe we'll do some more Star Wars videos as well in the future, as well as all of the other sort of things that interest me, like COVID and personal sort of vlogs that I've been doing as well. Please let me know in the comments what you think, and that's all for now though. So finally we know what George Lucas' story was going to be about, and I think it sounds absolutely great, but I cannot believe that Disney threw it all away. But again, let me know in the comments what you think. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.